It's so great to have you here with us. I'm personally excited about this particular workshop because this house of Palm was started offering workshops to different persons in the community, hip-hop artists and arts organizations. Um, and so I am really excited to welcome you to the Gathering Divergence workshop series. It's a precursor to our festival and conference that will happen the week of May 13th in Toronto in a physical space. And I will put it up there right now in the new cultural space for Black multidisciplinary arts practices in the country, known as NEA Center for the Arts. And I can be super excited about that as well, having been the past chair of the NEA Center and seeing the center through what is now the physical embodied space. Before we go further, I would like to offer land acknowledgement, and I want to invite my colleague, the convener at SAPAMO, to deliver that particular land acknowledgement. Charles.
Thanks, Kevin, and welcome everyone. You're certainly welcome to turn on your camera if you wish. We would ask that you mute until you're ready to speak or have a question. What we do for land, and I will give a land acknowledgement, obviously, but I would also ask if you're comfortable, if you could put into the chat room the Indigenous peoples whose territories you are in and their names, and others that you know about. It's important, I think, for us to get to know more about various nations that existed here and still exist, as there is not one Indigenous community, there are many. And we need to understand their presence, languages, cultures, and histories. So for me, I am in Tikaranto, what we call Toronto these days, the land where trees grow out of the water, as has been called. And this is a territory of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee. We are on a Treaty 13, which is a claim by the Mississauga of the Credit over the Greater Toronto Area. And one of the teachings, well, it wasn't a teaching, it's a treaty that we talk about a lot with SAPAMO, is the dish with one spoon wampum. Wampum is a treaty. And we talk about that because while very simple, it's very clear and direct that whoever had a need to take what he, she, they needed from the land, they had the right to do so. However, they also had a responsibility, and that was to ensure that the land would be there for others in their time, for others coming after. The purpose of that is because Mother Earth is what we need to live. It provides us with water, it provides us with air, it provides us with food, whether we are vegetarian or eat meat, and so on. Without the earth, none of that would be possible. And in this time of climate change, that is a really critical message because our life is tied into how the earth is being treated and so on. So I wanted to start with that because in the arts, it is important that we begin to think more about how we take what we need and share with others. And that's our values around pluralism, is to be inclusive of arts practices, particularly from IDPOC artists and communities and arts organizations, but also other marginalized artists, whether they are persons with disabilities, 2SLGBTQI, and the intersections that may be happening in between them. So I welcome you with that, and I'm sure that we're going to have an exciting professional development session with Alleah, and I turn you back to Master of Ceremonies, Kevin Ormsby.
Thank you so much, Charles. The session is going to be about emergent uses in social media, and it's a pleasure to have this workshop facilitated by Alleah Erica Clarke, who's a business strategist and development coach who founded AJ Cultured, a rapidly growing organization that provides a wide range of services from small business for small business owners. She's a business developer that holds a portfolio for companies including Culturnique and a full service and digital design film and Alcreance, a bookkeeping and accounting firm. Having been a solopreneur, I love the choice of the words here, a solopreneur herself, she understands the responsibilities and struggles of solopreneurs that strive to see their visions through. AJ Cultured and its sister company, allow Alleah Erica to guide solopreneurs to where they want to be, help propel their organizations to higher heights and newer sites, hold businesses accountable for their growth, and ultimately influence change. Alleah intends to create a powerhouse of small business development assets and organizations, becoming a facilitator and an agent of change in business, culture, art, and community. Welcome, Alleah.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me today as one of your workshop experts to talk about my topic. And thank you for that introduction. Yeah, I am Alleah Erica, and I am a powerhouse in the business arena. I do want to get to know my workshopees because they are. It's a very intimate workshop. Um, if you can, before I get started, because we're going to come back to this, if you can actually post your actual social media brand in the chat, I am going to circle back to it during our presentation, but I do want to know just a little bit about you so that I can provide solutions specifically for you that's not just general for the artistry and for the art sector, but also for those that are attending so that they can get some jewels and gems for themselves that they can implement today. So I'm all about action and all about making sure that we can move this wheel of momentum and keep it going even after hearing such awesomeness. Just to give you guys a little bit, as you can see, my background, I definitely leverage Zoom a lot. At any point in time, if you want to turn your cameras on and join in, I can see you guys. I'm not speaking at you, but I'm enjoying a conversation with you. As you can see, there's two of my brands, Culturnique, and then you, of course, see Alleah Erica. As Kevin has mentioned to you, I work with small businesses, and I feel that business is encompassing of everything, including the arts. And times we separate it because business is icky sometimes. So I want to make it more absorbable for the artists and the artistry industry to embrace it and to enhance it. I am starting to see people. Okay, awesome. And is that Rachel? Did I pronounce that right?
Rachel, hi.
Rachel, thank you so much. Okay, and then we have Colette as well. Okay, see, this is what I love. Okay, so I will start out our presentation with an actual formal presentation, and then at the end, I'm going to open it up for interactive conversation for us to talk about not only your brands, but also to talk about examples that we see both in the industry and also to see about me as well, because I also practice what I teach, and I want to show you guys why social media, emerging strategies in social media can help you guys not only just from being on Instagram, Facebook, but also making sure that you have something known as a digital footprint. I will touch on that today and how that is so relevant for your social media. I'm going to share my screen and we will begin. All right, can everyone see my presentation? Okay, awesome, thank you so much. Okay, so today's presentation and my topic of choice, thank you, Aaron, is emergent strategies in social media marketing, elevating artistry visibility with creative digital footprint methods. And I have to say, when we want to target or go into social media, we have to really consider the very vehicle that is traveling us through the social media platforms. And that's where our footprints come in. And so, okay. All right. So, who is Alleah Erica? Who is, and why do I have a particular subset of information that you want to know? I developed a digital design firm because small business owners were really missing the key component to reach their clients in all of the platforms. So not just having a website, not just having social media, not just having Facebook or Instagram of the social media, but really encompassing all of them and enhancing their search option optimization with as many URLs and features of their actual brand. So, leading Culturnique, I am an expert, a digital footprint specialist that ranges of knowledge and practice from social media, copywriting, web and app development to multimedia creation and editing. Also leveraging AI, all in graphic design and with graphic design for small business enhancement of digital footprints. Really big advocate of AI, and that is not today's topic, but I will say that is something that can support automation for your social media, your platform. And so with my team, I really love amplifying brands, really love making sure to optimize those search engines, as well as coming up with marketing strategy that not only fits the brand, but fits the audience as well. And then again, we are powering digital footprints with comprehensive strategy. All right. So just by a show of hands, who's really excited about social media? Like who really loves it? And you can be honest. If you are, you can raise your hand and I'm going to ask the opposite question too, in case you are not excited. I saw no movement and I think Rochelle is like, no. So by a show of emojis, who really despises or dislikes social media? All right, I knew the honest answer would come. So many of us really have a very disconnected approach to social media because of how it was introduced. And so my goal in today's conversation with you guys, as well as my presentation, is to really enhance or embrace the digital age and then just transforming artistry reach so that we can actually change the digital landscape for artistry, which then involves us exploring innovative tools and strategies that also can be automated, but also something that doesn't really pull you out of your comfort zone of just really not wanting to be on social media, because that is a common practice, is that I want to be there for the art and I really don't want to be there for the algorithm. And that's one of the things that we have to consider when we're doing the social media, to actually make the transition into global recognition and engagement. So we're gonna together try and create and develop stand out brand strategies for you guys. And so, what are components of your digital footprint? And you can put it in the chat. What do you think is something that stands out in your presence and your footprints all throughout all throughout the web, the World Wide Web? What do you feel is a really important component of your digital footprint? And besides what's on the screen, I want to get your ideas so that I know your frame of thinking. So in the chat, feel free. You can post what you think about digital footprints and what that means. And I'll give you guys 2 seconds. No, I'm just joking. Let's see. Yes. So Rachel, I said brand image and clear messaging, which is a great segue. A lot of the times when we think of artistry, we kind of think of the art first, and then we present ourselves to the world. And sometimes it's not a first and foremost thought as to what are we going to be seen and be identified. And not speaking specifically about artistry, but if we look at places like Cache Dance, for instance, or we look at let's see, Alvin Ailey, right? These are two amazing dance companies. And so when you look at it, you can know that it's a brand that is based on the actual development of the art within that actual company. And so they're able to kind of spread the span throughout the whole entire web because of their brand identity. So brand identity across all platforms ensures, sorry, ensures that your brand name and visibility are consistent. So if you were to look up Alvin Ailey, you're not going to see Alvin Ailey with too many variations. And not to mention, Alvin Ailey itself is a keyword. So when you think of them, they have kind of the .com, they have the Facebook, they have the Instagram, they have the social media presence and YouTube, right? So we want to make sure that our brand identity really is synonymous across all of the platforms so that if someone is on Twitter, if someone is on Facebook, if someone is on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, they will still find you on that platform the same as the next will find you on the other. One of the other things about digital footprinting is discoverability. Discoverability is the ability to be found. When we think about it, it's like, I want to keep my life separate. And you can, but your brand is what you want people to know for, right? You want people to know you for who you are. And that allows you to create strategy that targets your particular people, your audience of interest. It helps you to stand out in a crowded digital space. And it really kind of helps you to reach more people because people are looking for art. They're looking for artistry. The other part of your digital footprint is visibility and SEO. Now, I'm heavily lacing SEO throughout this presentation because we cannot absolve SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization, and that actually is optimized not only by the URLs, but the keywords that I even mentioned. So when we optimize our brands to be and our content to be searched for, it improves us to populate. And later on in the presentation, I'll show you an exact example of how usernames and how usernames are actually found. As you can tell, mommy's a mommypreneur. I don't know if that was in my description, but mommy's a definite title in my SEO. So, and so when we are able to be featured, for instance, and I'll use Kevin as an example, if Kevin were to be featured in an article about a previous engagement that he's had, his actual keyword, which is Kevin Ormsby, Kevin A. Ormsby. That's a keyword, right? And just because he's featured on that website in any place else, when you ever Google Kevin A. Ormsby, it's going to actually bring up all of the things. So external features where you're on other people's websites and they're featuring you absolutely helps you to come up, be boosted in the search engine ranking. Now let's talk about why is digital footprint and social media so vital for artists? Though we may be local to Canada, we may be local to our region particularly, we still want people to be able to know who we are. And it makes it so much easier now in the digital realm of things for them to actually see you in Europe or in Thailand or in Africa, because the internet helps you to reach beyond your borders, reach beyond your city, your town. And so when you are able to feature art on platforms like social media, it allows people to like and share and, oh my God, did you see this great painting? Hey, did you see this performance? And now people start to talk to you on a global level and you may not even know who they are. And that is really important to help sustain followers, of course, to create followership, to create community that is outside of where your locale is. Another thing that is important for your digital footprint as artists is to actually have direct communication to those people who want to talk about you. So places like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube allow commentary. And so when you have that commentary, people are able to say, oh my God, this is great. I really love this. Oh my, this is beautiful. I really would love, a piece of this, or to be involved, or to attend the event. And they get to interact as though they know you. And that's one of the things that really enhances us is connection. We want to connect not only to the people who want our art, but we want to connect to people to build and grow our own communities. And in today's marketing strategy, people are drawn to stories. They always have been. It through the test of time, whether it be the ancestors or the ancestor stories that were passed down through word of mouth, or whether it be a simple family tradition. The stories are what transcends the people at times. And so when you're sharing your own story, it allows people to connect to you in a way that they're not normally able to connect with a local artist. So you're giving the opportunity for them to see and explore you as the person you want them to see. And I'll talk about that later in our slide about what you can control with your content. The artist growth is also a way in which you can catalyze your opportunities. So, for instance, how many of you are familiar? And this is one of my favorite artists because he really made opera fun. But Babatunde Hipopera. How many of you are familiar with? Yeah, all right, Rachel. And then anyone else familiar with him? All right. So, Babatunde Hip Opera is an actual opera singer. He started out in the male's choir, and he actually, and again, now I can tell you his story because he shared it. But he started out as in the choir, and he actually was told by his singing instructor and said, "Have you ever considered opera?" And so he was like, no, but then he gave it a try and found that he enjoyed it so much more. And of course, he loves hip hop. So with him combining the two, just by sharing a video of him driving in the car, combining his song to I believe it was a Lupe beat, he then had virility. And from there, he started to kind of make opera more accessible to people who were kind of closed out. He's also raising awareness about the industry. And so, because of his virility, because of his platform to educate people on opera singers and Black opera singers at that, he's actually been able to land opportunities for Black History Month. He was actually featured on a news station who wanted to give tribute to hip opera or opera, but from the Black lens. And so, again, the artistry growth is outside of just the work that you do and just the actual art that you like. And it moves into actually putting you on platforms that would want to support and elevate your artistry. So those are some of the points as to why digital footprint and social media are really vital for artists and the sustainability of the artistry. Oh, and yes, Colette, yes, agency is what we market as an artist. And we will make sure that you are going to get a little bit more key nuggets for that SEO visibility because it is very simple. If we can just deploy a few short tactics, and I will talk about that. Okay. So the impact of online presence in the art sector is the broader audience reach. So, for instance, we know that opera has not been primarily popular in browner communities over the histories, but because now there is a segue, there is someone who makes it more absorbable. It is now creating a new demographic of people who want to be involved with opera who would have never had the opportunity to. So that broader audience reach is someone who was introduced and now that, oh my God, this is cool. I really like this. And they're doing remixes with the video or they're doing stitches with the video. And if you are not familiar, stitches and remixes are taking someone else's content, either talking over it or illustrating or pointing it out or highlighting it on your platform and just borrowing it from the actual content creator. So again, when we are allowing our art to expand beyond our borders on an online sector, we are then allowing people who would have never imagined our artistry to now consider and even possibly engage, share, and spread the word about that artwork. So we want to expand that broader reach from our typical people who would enjoy that art to people who would be delighted to if given the introduction. Um, Enhanced accessibility to art. In past conversations, sometimes getting out to a theater, sometimes getting out to a performance or a gallery may not necessarily be accessible to people. But if we are allowed to do lives, do Zooms, do features, or do kind of meet and greets digitally, now we're making this art accessible and sustainable outside of the people who are locally available to the art. So it does allow people to not only be present with the art, but to interact with the art. That can also lead to engagements of email, collecting email of people who are really supportive of you. You can also then use that to create opportunity to sell the art online. And so there's so much more power when we can allow people to have access to spaces that they would normally not have access to because we are creating that online presence for them to do so. Innovation to artistic practices is another impact of the online present. And innovation in the fact that you're doing something outside of the box for your artistry, but you're also considering the parameters to which we are bound to, which is social media, right? So when we are looking at social media, we are trying to, how do we make this interactive? How do you, and this is an example, a TikToker made an app to which then people can interact with it. They can download it, they can share it. And that's something to which then you can transform that with your art. And that's again, finding innovative ways to involve social media with your artistry that then again gets engagement and gets followership. All right. Before I transition to our successful tools, any questions, any points that are standing out for you, any things that resonate with you or your query about, just want to tap in with the group. And feel free if you want to, you can come off of it too. All right. So the next thing that I want to talk about is an artist's social media with digital footprint essentials. These are some of the things that you can use within your social media right now, presently, that you can actually, you want to take into consideration. So as you know, hashtags have now kind of run everything as to like trending topics or even just topics that people want to use. And one of the things that can help with finding trending topics is also finding trending hashtags and piggybacking off of them. So if I'm saying that, oh, arts in motion, or hashtag arts in motion, or hashtag artistry in 2024, or hashtag one was popular, save the arts, right? That was a very trending hashtag. Many people were, yes, I have to save the arts. And that's another way in which you can piggyback on a trending hashtag, and you can also start to introduce your own hashtags. For instance, if you're looking for particular artists, you can use the hashtag. If you're looking for a particular art type of work or type of sound, as you guys were coming in, we were listening to Ame Piano. I am a huge fan. But I can put that hashtag into YouTube. I can put that hashtag into TikTok. I can even put that hashtag into Instagram. And it'll either bring up videos that are also featuring that hashtag, or they'll even bring up the artist, or they'll bring up the sound associated to it. So hashtags can really be helpful. Likewise, hashtags actually connect you to the search engines. When we talk about search engines, the search engines are not searching Facebook. They're not searching for all of the content of Facebook. It would just be too much noise. So they do seclude themselves to the name, the URL, the description, possibly maybe some parts of the profile, not the profile in entirety, and they actually do consider hashtags in the Google searches. So when you are considering to use hashtags, keep in mind that the hashtags that you use across all of the platforms can start to resonate and pop you up in the search options because you are commonly using them with your associated brand. And that can help you again with boosting your presence. Engaging content strategy is another essential tool that you want to actually put into your arsenal of digital presence and digital footprinting. By that, I mean, what do you want to tell? What is your story? How do you want to connect to your audience? What are some of the things that you have bandwidth for? I have to say that because you don't need to go live every day, but you can have access to say, hey, join me every Friday or every second Friday for a conversation in the arts. Let's talk about an art piece. Let's talk about, a particular sound. Let's talk about a performance. And then you're actually getting people to come into your space to want to engage with you and also want to set reminders. So that's another thing is that they're getting reminded. So then you're starting to play into their art of suggestion, say, oh, Rachel is going to be performing, or Kevin is going to be performing, or Victoria is going to be performing, and I want to be reminded, and that reminder will be in their newsfeed to remind them, and their notifications to remind them to tune in, to keep going. And so that is one of the options to really enhance your engagement, but also it's one strategy. So there are multiple strategies, but I do want you to always consider when creating your strategies, there's additional platforms that can support you, but then also making sure you're authentic to yourself as an artist, as well as what you desire to engage with when it comes to social media platforms, because it can become overwhelming. Another thing that can support the essential tools of digital footprint is collaboration. So maybe sometimes you might have seen on Instagram, there is a collabo. There's a name, it might be Kevin and sorry, Kevin, I'm using you as an example, but it might be a collaboration between Kevin and Cache Dance, right? Or it might be me and Culturnique. And I'm doing a collaboration because I'm bringing the two audiences together. And so when you actually have a collaboration with a bigger platform that has a big followership, they tend to have a curiosity of who's this person. So now you can gain followership, you can gain reach just by having that collaboration with another influencer and take the word influencer, but another profile on those platforms that can allow you to expand your reach. And it definitely is a way to support the artistry as well. So if you are featured, for instance, in a gallery and the gallery has a lot of followers, that gallery can collaborate with you to make sure that you guys have collaborative efforts to expand the awareness and to raise visibility for you as the artist, as well as them as the gallery. So when there's that kind of collaboration, now you're able to have followers just because they have collaborated with you. So networking digitally is really connecting, sliding into someone's DMs and saying, hey, I think your art is great, or I think your establishment is great. I would love to create a campaign or create a connection for us to reach our respective communities. I am hungry. Well, as you can tell, someone is hungry, but they have a beef patty to which they're not eating. Um, so social media, and so here are some tools that you guys can actually implement for your strategies for your social media. So content diversification. I know. Oh my God. I know. Classic mompreneur Zoom life. We already had the discussion. No interruptions. But, I enjoy the little, because they need to know about the arts as well. They are also artists in their own rights. So, social media enhancement strategies that I offer to you guys is coming up with a diversification of your content. So you can either have 2D flat, just flat flyers or flat digital assets, which are just, a 4x3 or 1x1 post, right? We can't use those on platforms like TikTok. We can't use those platforms in places like YouTube because those are motion video platforms that only require videos. But you can have a campaign specifically for Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and also Pinterest, or even LinkedIn as well, because that's a social media platform as well. And you can make and use 2D platforms. So that's one way that you can diversify your content, is the platforms that you post. The other part too is having a story sequence. Maybe you're creating a piece of work and there's a journey to which you get to your final product. If you capture your final product, one, you get to see, wow, I've come so far with this art. You can document that for you to see your transformation. And you can also take that and chop it up into content, right? You can take that content, that video, and make things that are known as shorts. When we use those shorts, we can post those places on our reels. We can put those on YouTube. We can put those on TikTok. And that allows you to have a series where you might have taken maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and that's just a short estimate, but you took 20 or 30 minutes to create it. You can time elapse it so that it goes through very quickly and it takes literally 2 seconds for them to go through the video. Or you can chop up the whole entire video and just tell a story with a voiceover on it. So those of you who might not want to be the face of all the, look at me, I'm the Instagram or Facebook influencer, those of you who are shying away from that, you can always share your voice and you can always share it over your art, the capturing of your art, so that they're not necessarily focused on you as a person. They're focused on the most important part, which is your artistry. So if you're creating a piece, you're creating music, you're messing up, you're having blunders, you're being authentic to share parts of you, those are still and always have been the most engaging content, is the real connection to the real people. So again, when you have content diversification, you can plan out your content so that you can, have it done and completed in the month, and you can schedule it out with scheduling platforms so that this way, you know that you're getting engagement, building content on your platforms, and also being able to share your work and share what you're doing as an artist. And so speaking on engagement, we want to amplify people talking to you. So sometimes you might see a post and someone ask you a question and it's like, hey, what do you, and tell me what your thoughts are. They really do want to know your thoughts, but then at the same time, they get to comment. So you get to comment and I get to comment, then other people get to comment. And before you know it, there's a whole thread of communication and conversations happening in the actual commentary section. And that actually boosts the algorithm. We'll say that because as people are starting to see trending topics and trending conversations, it starts to show up in other people's feeds as well. So you might have noticed, even on Instagram, that one of your friends might have liked something and it showed up in your suggested reels. And that's because, again, that post has content and has people engaging with it, has people talking in the comment sections. And that, again, brings you up where people would have never seen you before because of their association to the person engaging in your content. So commentary is very important. It's communication, even with the person you don't know. And it definitely goes the opposite way. So don't give any energy to any trolls, for sure. We want to make sure to leave them in troll land and only comment on those that are going to foster the dynamic that you are looking for and the communication and community that you want to engage with. So in community commentary engagement is really key for supporting the actual posts that you have on the platform. Now, some people are really not for they're not for numbers. And so analytics are really key. What are your numbers doing? Your numbers will tell you a story as to which ones are doing very well. If your posts are doing very good numbers, then you know that people really like that post. So this way, you're not just posting to post, just to get it done. No, you want to post to actually have all of the actual, so my followers might be majority female, or my followers might be majority in the US. My followers might like this type of post more than the other post. And so that kind of gives you direction as to how do I want to create content that's going to get more of those engagements from the people that are showing me their engagement. So definitely don't stray away from the analytical numbers. If you are in a influencer page or content setting for certain platforms, you might have limited numbers based on that type of profile, but you may have a better analytic numbers provided to you to even run ads on a business profile. So it will vary per platform, but the numbers don't lie. They do tell you what is happening, the metrics that you need to make better decisions. And then when you actually have those metrics, you are able to, again, make analytic driven decision based off of feeling based decision based off of personal engagement or feelings. So that's really key strategies that you guys can implement as well. So, so this is getting into the fun part for sure. So here is an example, and we're going to move into this. We're going to move into the conversation of digital footprinting in the arts. And so here's, you can screenshot this page for sure if you want to, so that you can keep that for you once we're done. And so you can find even my example here. The reason why Twitter is different than my actual full digital footprint is because Twitter only, or X only, allows 15 characters, and my name has 16. So when we talk about 16 characters, you can be on every other platform but X, because they only they will cut off one of your letters. So I did go by my first names, and that is why they're different. But for the likelihood of it, I'll show you in just a little bit why synergy matters. All right, so let's dive into Q&A and digital footprint exploration. And as I asked you earlier, if you joined in just recently, I do ask that you post, if you post your handles in the previous chat. There was Rachel and Colette, who shared their actual handles to their brands. And then if you just joined in, feel free to share your brands, your business, your artistry platform, and also put where you are. So I know many people go to and gravitate towards their social media of preference by personal use. And I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. So some people are like, I don't like Instagram. I don't like TikTok. I don't do that Facebook thing, right? The part of those disinterest is that you are saying the platform is more important than the people on the platform. And we want to kind of disconnect the platform's dislike or practices and move it towards the actual, how can I connect to the people who like those platforms and hang out on those platforms? It's like saying, I don't like that beer, that pub, and so I won't go to the pub. But the pub has a really lot, like a lot of people that go there, hundreds, thousands of people. So now what you're saying is, I want to be excluded from the pub. And that ultimately can impact your reach. And so if you posted your URL names, your ads, your handles, and your ads are simply your handle extension. And so we're going to ask, and you guys have, some of you have responded, what does your digital footprint look like? And what does your social presence look like as well? And I am going to look up me. I'll show you guys that. Um, all right, this is an example of what I mean by digital footprinting enhances because social media enhances your digital footprint and also your search engines. And as I mentioned earlier, use the example of Kevin A. Ormsby as a keyword, a key phrase, right? Alleah Erica Clarke, key phrase. Culturnique, keyword. The keywords, regardless, they're never going to separate it and say, oh, you're a noun and your verb or your adjective. It just is very simple as just making it a word. So most times people don't think or perceive that their keyword, that their name is a keyword or a key phrase. So oops, sorry. If you look me up, you'll, sorry guys. Sorry guys. The love. So as you see, the key phrase, Alleah Erica Clarke, it's pulling up my actual website. And the website is actually key for your artistry. So don't just rely on social media. And the reason for that is social media can go away in the blink of an eye. The algorithm, the bots, the automation, they can cancel your platform and you're gone. And so you always want to drive people off the social media and onto a place where you can capture their data, whether it be email or phone number. Because when you do that, you control the information and the people that are coming to you. So then you're able to still connect to them, even if anything should happen to a social media platform. Now, when you scroll down even further, you'll see actual my handle, and then you'll see my phrase, my key phrase, and then the handle match. So it also boosts it up higher on the search options. Same thing with LinkedIn. If you have that same handle and that same descriptor, so the description matters. So if I put the description, my name or my phrase or my brand is in the description, that actually will enhance you to have more visibility. Again, social media optimization is actually going to help. So when you're optimizing your social media, is making sure that you have a name where it's requested, your handle, a description, possibly with your name in it. Really, those are the three keys that are going to come up with the search options. So then we have YouTube, again, another URL associated to this key phrase. Then we have X. Now, remember, I told you X don't like 16 characters. They're going to only like 15. So you see my key phrase here without the Clarke, but the actual description and the name provided on my handle actually says Alleah Erica Clarke. So then now I'm going to come in even if my handle is different. So the other part too, if you notice how high YouTube is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 down. The reason why YouTube is again coming up in the search options is because I'm using Google. So Google owns YouTube. And so the more videos that you have, the more you start to populate in the searches because again, they correlate together. Google, YouTube, search options are going to be high. So as you can see, you go down further. Now here's where you definitely want to piggyback on other people's pages. So if you have a feature or someone else does a blog post on you or someone else does a social media tag and puts you on their website or puts you on their platforms of expression, whether they have a photo gallery website or they have an actual kind of interactive website that may not be a text website, you want to have some kind of tag or backlink to it. So as you can see, this is my photography portfolio, but as you can see, my actual tagline in the actual WordPress website has the digital portfolio of Alleah Erica. But in there is an actual biography. Then it pulls up the key phrase again. And as you can see, I'm featured on someone else's website. And then I'm also now featured on other websites, so Culturnique, leading me to the brand. Now, I didn't want to put anybody else on the spot. I didn't want to put everyone and digest everybody. I wanted to give my examples first and then say, okay, let's see. We can review and do show and tell. So as you can see, Culturnique went through a product I have called the Name Incubator, which helps you to come up with a unique name that is available just to you and less noise, right? When have you seen search results of less than 1,000 or maybe millions, right? You see a lot of results. But the uniqueness that I was talking about earlier with the brand identity and having a unique, consistent brand across the platforms allows that results option to shrink so that you have smaller amounts of results and people can't get confused with noise and it gets cut out as to, is this you? Is this you? Or that is eliminated because, again, if you look at Culturnique as my digital design firm, Culturnique's website, of course, comes first. Then we have Pinterest. And then we have, of course, our features. And again, remember what I told you about YouTube. YouTube's going to come up pretty high. But look at all of my social media: Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and then we have Facebook. So Facebook's a little low on the page, but again, it's still boosted up. And so, as you can see, even for today, cultural pluralism, CPAMO has featured me. And because they featured me, I'm on their website. So now when they come up, I'm going to come up. But then when I come up, they come up. So now we're using each other's platforms, and it's just by, again, simply using that @ handle, right? So we want to piggyback because the best way to success is together instead of individually. So if we do it together, we collaborate together, we then can boost. So if artists can come together using hashtags even, they can see and expand their reach. So as you can see, like I said, uniqueness, brand uniqueness that really identifies you solely for you and your artistry will help you to be found more on search engines, but also on the social media platforms. Okay. All right, we've got some commentary. Awesome, Colette. Thank you. All right. Okay. So, I wanna reserve for who's here. I know Colette had her branding as well, but she has since left. So I want to make sure. Do I have your permission, Rachel? Or okay, I will. I never want to put anyone on the spot. um, and not one of those teachers that's like calling on students that just don't want to be called on. Okay, so I did notice you have a couple of them, which is awesome. So I'm actually just going to put in the hashtag, right? Or the actual caption. All right. Ooh, this is lovely. This is exactly what I was referencing. Ah, great example. First go out. Yay, I love it. This is simple. Rachel has a unique name, but it's unique in the fact that she's really going to be the only one that comes up. So 235 results, you cannot confuse her at all, right? Which is really beautiful because even as she has different presences, she's got the name, right? The name in that is, again, key when you go to your Twitter account. And I will show this, actually, I'll demonstrate here. I'll go to my page. Oh, sorry, go back. So again, when you come here, right, that name that's there is really what's going to populate you here. So when you have the @ symbol and it's different, and she did actually two things. For X, she actually has one handle and then she mentions the second handle. So now that second handle brings up the first handle. And even though they have the same name, it's like it's like a triple, a triple presence, a triple show as well, because she has the name, She has the at that I looked up, and then she also has the other name that's also the key phrase in the handle. So yes, her Instagram comes up. She has she's got posts. She's also featured. Then she's also got her Facebook. So here, someone reposted her. The Black Book of Waterloo Region reposted her and posted that handle. So now she's coming up, right? So this is again that collaborative working with other people, being featured, showing collaboration. And now again, she comes up in the subject. And so even if we click on this, even if it's an old story, which is from the 30th, that handle comes up. Now we can take it a step further when we make posts like this, is actually adding hashtags. So always keep in mind that your name and your brand can be in hashtag, because when you start to trend or you start to piggyback with other people, people can look you up as a hashtag as well. And so, oh, she's even featured with Kashe Dance. So like, but this is Instagram. And so again, the one of the things I would almost say, and again, you can't scroll past this. Oh, that's lovely. So if you look, when you look for particular words and names, it says 235, but there's no other pages. I can actually, there's no other page 2, page 3, page 4. This is it. This is all I'm going to get on my show, which is awesome. And so it allows people never to get confused with noise or even be uncertain about who she is or what she's doing. And so that is really key for any brand. We want to make sure people are never confused. And if they want, and again, controlling the narrative is when you control who's going to tag you because you're participating with them, what your actual content will say about you. And it doesn't have to have anything to do with your personal life. And that's one of the key parts that I say. A lot of people are like, I don't want to talk about my daily life. And no, you plan your content, but it's strategy that lets people in up to know parts of who you are. So we don't know anything about Rachel's personal life or what she's doing, if she's a mom, if she's anything else, right? But we do know she can control what's here on her Instagram, on her X, on her Facebook, who she's collaborating with. And that's all we can find. So we're not finding anything else. Now, I only looked up her handle, and it could look different if we did just look up her name. But again, that's a key word. Any questions so far? Okay. And see, this is another one. But this is an example how there can be some noise that can get mixed up. And notice we looked at one of the brands of Diverse Works Co. Now we're actually pulling up words that are similar. So now we're pulling up diverse display, diverse media, diverse HR, just because of the word diverse, right? But when we come down to the actual search options, we do actually have that key phrase, exact key phrase, and it actually separates where it's supposed to. So it's not separating it into diverse slash or space works. It's actually one word and one phrase, diverse works, right? So that again pulls up the full search options across all platforms where it's mentioned, Diverse Works Co., which is again good branding. Again, another page where we can't go down too far, so no one's gonna get confused with that handle, right? And so now it's again collaborating with people for them to boost you with your search options, so that again you're more than 128 results. This is really good branding, ma'am. So, I'm like, yes, we want to find you.
The company is new, so we're still working at that, but I try to attach it to like my personal, to hey, it's Miss Ray, to my name. Like I would be curious, I don't Google myself, but I would be curious to know if you put my name, like what would happen.
So as she asked, is your name is a key phrase, right? And we always have to keep that in mind because key phrases are going to be so because the social media content is not always posted in the search options, or it would be an influx of information. They minimize that. You want to consider your ability to reach both on social media, you having the particular hashtags and content, description, name, and biographies. But then you also want to make sure that you have the offline presence or the off social media platform presence that allows them to tie together. So you're wanting to make sure, because like I said, social media is its own database of information, and then the search engines are their own, but there are a way to combine them. So if we look up the name, 228,000 228,000 results. Sorry, we're sorry, we're experiencing snow in Toronto, so a winter baby is super excited about some snow, and it's thick and sticking. Um, so if we look your name up, you're in. So this is another part. LinkedIn is going to really boost you to the top because of your name. So a professional name is going to LinkedIn. If you don't have a website, that's the other part. If you don't have Rachel, it's Lavelle, is it? So if you don't have RachelLavelle.com, LinkedIn sometimes comes above because of this. It's actual real good connection to Google and Google Ads, and then of course Google placement. And that's another thing too. We didn't talk about it, but I would, I'm open to a part two to discuss why you should use ads and why some of your content can really support your ads later, because that's actually something that can help the artistry community is actually the ad space. But in the instance of you not having the .com or an actual website associated to the name and content, LinkedIn's going to bring you up because of just the name search. But then you also have your other features, and you notice now Facebook is up there. So it's not Instagram, it's not Pinterest, it's not YouTube, but LinkedIn and Facebook come up higher because of the name search. Because now I don't have the @ handle, right? You do have, again, the YouTubes that come up. So now you have videos that are pulling you up. But now this is also where you have the overlap of what information you put out there. So now we get to see all different parts of Rachel. And that's, again, what do you want the world to see about you? And you control the content and the narrative. So now you've got CBC, you've got people who featured you. We welcome. So your name is in their caption, is in their content. And then let's see. So you do have a lot of pages, or you have other people. So, but it's the same. Nope. It looks like you, because it's still dance related. So yeah, you have a lot of presence. You said you'd never Googled yourself? No? Oh, love it. But now you see what people can see about you, right? And you also can see it from my lens. Because when I Google you, who've never Googled you before, I'm going to see exactly what's going to come up if I didn't have you in my algorithm. But if you have your name throughout all of the platforms that you use, you have a skewed algorithm that's going to only give you what is relative to what you've already searched, or what the algorithm is familiar with on your IP address and the platforms you use. But because I've never searched you before, I'm getting what many people will get when they look you up or Google you for your name and your platforms. So it's more authentic. Oh, I do say a question. I'm sorry. What if you're associated with a community where your social life is assumed, etc.? What is the etc. part?
Basically meaning that etc. was what I shouldn't have put in, but essentially what I'm saying is I'm part of LGBT.
Mhm.
I was told at one point that employers would look at askance at my arts work within the LGBT community, because they would assume what my sex life is, in essence.
I mean, personally, from a professional, I'm always telling people to be authentic with themselves. And I said it
Yeah.
throughout the presentation. You're being authentic to yourself. When you have to be disingenuous for yourself, you're going to dread the whole process of creating content, period. And be it that this is for the arts, I have my own personal opinion about people who don't like me for what I do or what I am or who I am. So if people are going to judge you, let them judge you. You don't need them, right? Because to be honest, when you have to tailor your content because of what you actively are involved in based off of someone else's judgment, you're going to have to tailor your content for everybody. And you won't
Yeah.
actually have content that's going to be genuine to your platform and your voice and who you are and your beliefs and practices. So, in the instance of having, again, content that's out there, like I said, if you look Google me, I control my narrative and what's out there. I create the content, I create the partnerships, I create the places that I want to be featured.
Right.
And if you're concerned about that, then you can actually you can monitor or minimize your actual presence with that. But if employers are not accepting of who you are because of what your beliefs are and your practices or your livelihood or your lifestyle, um, I would say find new employers.
Yes.
So I don't because the other part too is no, you won't be able to minimize that. You either be in the shadows and you hide that part of your life because
Or you don't. Yeah.
or right. So I would always say 1,000% be genuine to who you are because when you're not, I know you guys may have known of people who have kind of felt too much pressure from the social media life where they've either, unalived themselves or they've transitioned because of their need to please everybody else and feel relevant based off of or feeling validated by other people. I want to make sure that this is accessible to people. This is tangible. Again, you are using social media to share your artistry, to share your work, and to actually raise awareness for people to engage with you. That requires genuineness. If you don't have that, you're going to be constantly assuming, is this going to be right? Is someone else going to see this? Is this person going to judge me off of that? And that internal self conversation associated to social media will drive you away from leveraging the platforms to raise awareness and support for your brands. So always be genuine to yourself and always be genuine to what matters to you because there is an audience that actually is in concurrent agreement with you. Like they support you because that's their audience too. Like your avatar, your ideal consumer avatar is going to like you for what you do. The people who don't, you don't market to them. Just like I was saying earlier, leave trolls in troll land, right? Like they don't need to come out. You don't need to bring them out. You don't need to talk to them. But if
Yeah.
it comes down to your social media identity and your strategies behind it, it has to connect with you because if it does not, you won't want to do it. Sorry, my genuine, honest answer is always support your arts. Everybody else will not matter. But if you want to really have a divide of your personality, just know that divide hides parts of you.
Yeah. Yeah. I do appreciate that because I was fine being open and then was told to do otherwise if I'm sort of working in the mainstream. This is me putting air quotes in the air. And so I was sort of confused in the end. It's just like, no, this is the work that I do.
And Kevin brought up a good point.
Yes.
It is aside from you being genuinely connected to yourself in person, yeah, it does violate human rights. So you also want to, like I said, you don't want to work with someone who is going to violate your human rights. And if they don't have consideration of that, then they're not people for you. And that's the other part too. As a culture of people, as people that are coming up in, art, not everyone's an artist. Not everyone gets the arts. Not everyone sees the importance of arts. Not everybody wants to even be immersed in it or see its relevance. Those are not people we have to convince that art is important. We just literally need to continue uplifting artistry, to continue the gifts, the talents that people have within, right? So when we are doing that, we are actually keeping the overall conversation alive. But then when we start to tailor the message to consider other people who would never support us anyway, we then silence that voice that still is bullhorning, hey, support this art, support the art, support artists, and so we want to make sure, does this connect with my desire to express, to share, to grow, to envelop as an artist? And if the answer says yes, keep doing it. If the answer says no, focus on the main objective. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It does, and thank you.
You're welcome. I will say this. Digital, like I said, digital footprinting is key, and it ties in with social media. And when we understand social media and its impact offline, off platform, we can have a significant amount of inflow, both opportunity wise, subscriber wise, client wise, even capital wise. And that's kind of what we want to determine when we're looking at our social media platforms and our digital footprints. All right, I am going to do one other. Belinda, do you want to volunteer your name?
Sure, I'd love that.
Okay. Like I said, I always have to ask because I don't want to put people on the spot who don't want to be there. Okay. All right. So this particular hashtag has 6 results. Is this you? Are you the chiropractor? No, maybe not. I don't think so.
I'm definitely not a chiropractor.
So what it did was, again, it looked up the first thing, Belinda, and it came up with as a chiropractor in places. So that's another part too. This is why I was saying another conversation about Google Ads is that you actually can create a Google page for your actual artistry. Even if you don't have an actual brick and mortar, you can create a page for it. I.e., if you look, you can see again, AJ Cultured. That's the other part too, is like, I'm going to come up with the website is always going to come up first. And then I have, of course, a company page. Company pages are really great. You can have them for various different profiles. And so you have your Instagram, you have your Facebook, and then you have your features, and that's all. Have you considered other platforms? Oh, you have LinkedIn. Nope, that's not LinkedIn. That's not your LinkedIn. But LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn. My name, just Belinda Agity, is on LinkedIn.
Okay, but you don't have a company page.
I don't.
Okay, so a company page will actually help you to come up as well. And that's an example of me using Culturnique. You can see here on LinkedIn, it's actually LinkedIn Culturnique page. And that is one thing that you can do, as making the arts and health as a actual company page so that you can boost it. Again, the more URLs when people search you, the better, because you have more visibility. But you're also featured on someone else's post on LinkedIn. So someone else posts you and your handle. Again, partnering up with people and sharing hashtags. Make sure your content always, the one that people are posting about you, always has a redirect back to you or a tag or a hashtag that's related to you, because again, now you can see that it starts to be featured. And here you're featured on someone else's Instagram. And if we click on that, you're mentioned in the actual caption. So, but do you notice if your actual, if that caption comes up with you, it's in the caption and it's not like collaborated. So if you do a collaboration, it won't come up the same as if you're in the caption itself. All right. Thank you, Belinda. I appreciate that. Okay, so I want to, you're welcome. I definitely like to do digital footprint audits and definitely like to support people to have a better strategy that aligns with them. Because if you're not really desiring certain platforms, there is a platform called Later. And this is just a little tool in my toolbox. Later is actually a platform that allows you to cross-platform, cross-post on different platforms. So as you can see here, and this is new, and this is within the last year or so, you can schedule one post across all 7 major platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, and now YouTube. Now, do know that if you do YouTube and TikTok, they're going to have to be videos that you have to schedule. So you will upload a different file. But it allows you not to, you can, again, Sunday, the first Sunday of the month, you can sit down and plan out your schedule for the rest of the month. You can create it. There are other tools you can use that allows you to create it, but then you can schedule out the post and it can post everywhere. And so, yeah. All right. I think I think that might wrap me up. Any questions? Any other experiences or strategies that you guys have implemented for the for your social media?
Alleah?
Yes.
A question, and that is, what happens if you tend to be a bit of a media hoe? I'm everywhere.
So a media hoe, as in like, are you on other people's platforms, or are you just everywhere on all of everybody's platforms? Because there's a difference.
Well, combination. It's a case of I have 2 websites, I have YouTube, but then I also am a writer, so I show up on other platforms, and I'm a performer, so I show up on other platforms. So I'm kind of like all over the place.
Okay, so would you mind posting one of your handles or what name would come up on those platforms in the chat, and then we can do an audit. I don't know what happened to my last name.
There I am.
Okay, so this is actually, again, like I told you, if you don't have your website, you actually will have LinkedIn come up first. But you also have a .ca.
Yeah.
So the primary one, and I know that Canada has the .ca for Canada, and you can go to Mexico and it's a .mx, and you have, you can go to the respective country and they have their particular URL. So .uk. But to be honest, you never ever get away from the primary URL extension that everyone will always type in.
Okay.
Right? Everyone will always type in .com. they won't know the actual country URL to which then, okay, maybe it's not .com, it's what? And then they have to Google your name. So if you're outside of the country, they're gonna have to look up your name. They won't know to go to .com.
Okay.
So this is an example why it didn't come up is because it's a secondary URL. It's not the primary one. So okay, so you have your LinkedIn, you were in a movie, awesome. And then you're also Facebook. So you have
See
So
what
you
I
have
mean?
all of, yeah, no, but this is you. This is who you are though. And I'm
Yeah,
pretty
'cause
sure,
the other
you know,
two,
you're
there are two other Christine Maitlands, and they don't tend to show up until later. There's a student and a florist, I think. I actually checked this shit.
so this is the other part too. I am only seeing, okay, so here's I think you were talking about the teacher and then there's a dancer. Um
That's me.
so yeah, you have so that's the thing. You actually control all of this.
Okay.
And this is you, right? So
Yes.
so this is you as in what you want people to know about you. I definitely recommend getting the .com and redirecting the .ca to it so that the .com can
Okay.
boost it up. Um,
I do
place
have the
it,
.com, so I should switch it.
yeah, no, just redirect it. So just
Okay.
you can redirect subdomain. You can redirect domains to appear like the regular domain.
Okay.
So um, okay. So a question was asked in the chat. If I have two careers, one in the arts and one in another sector, should I do one or two LinkedIn profiles? Now, again, it comes down to what do you want people to find out about you? If you want people to know that you are in the arts and you are in the another sector, then you can definitely put it in one profile. But if you do want to distinctively separate it with the same name and have two separate accounts with two separate emails, you absolutely could. But you remember your name is always going to be the one that's going to come up. So if they see two LinkedIns with the same name, you might get mixed in with the loss of noise with other people who might have the same names. And now people don't know which LinkedIn to go to. So in my case, like Alleah Erica Clarke, if I make another profile like Alleah Erica Clarke 2, I'm going to come up with my original LinkedIn Alleah Erica Clarke. So I want to consider how do I tailor the information to include posts about who I am? Because if you think about LinkedIn, it doesn't include personal information at all. It's all of your accomplishments and all of the things that you've done. If you want people to know more about you, your website is the absolute ultimate place that you want to do that. Right. So, here is an example of my website. And I'm able to, from here in my immediate description, tell them all of the things that I do. So, investor, connector, coach, creative, chef, author, business strategist, photographer, poet, philanthropist, businesspreneur, yogini, strategist, Jedi, business geek, right? All of the things that you think about me, I'm going to put there. And then I'm able to use my other pages to then explain more about me. So then if I want to share, here's part of me, here's another part of me, here's another part of me. My biographies can do that. But again, if they're looking for this particular type of information, Alleah Erica Clarke, the birth worker, the gestation coach, there's content on the web about that for me. I want that because that's still a part of me. That's still something I want people to know about me. So then I have corresponding information on my website that corresponds with what they will find online. So yes, if you're not actively involved in the arts and that was a past life, like me as a yoga teacher, it's way at the bottom. But I have a whole platform called the Live Map Party where I actually hosted live yoga parties with DJs on social media, and you can find the website till today about um, about me teaching yoga alongside DJs, right? So you're still going to find content out there for this particular thing, but I control the narrative on my website to show, yes, I am a yoga teacher. Yes, I do yoga. Yes, yoga is a part of my life, right? The other part is your features, right? What have you been featured in? Because even as a coach, I've been featured in different conversations. But if you scroll down, you see all of the external URLs of those places on my page, and I'm bringing traffic to them. They're bringing traffic to me. So that helps in the instance of that helps people to determine, oh, she does this, oh, she does that. So again, Victoria, it's really up to you what narrative you can control and what narrative you want people to know about you. Hope that answers your question. Okay, yes, it does. Thank you. Feel free, you guys can come off of mute if you guys have any questions. And so as we are nearing down the last few minutes of my presentation, definitely want to open up the floor for additional conversation or different questions if you guys have. And if you have any questions or uncertainties or wanted some clarity on something that I've discussed during the presentation, I definitely want to address that or talk about it. Oh man, I must have stunned you guys. I overwhelmed you with too much information. Well, hopefully you guys can implement some of the strategies that we talked about. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What are, like, say, 5 takeaways of quick actions that is possible starting at 12:40 at 2:45?
So some of the things that you can do is, let's say, for instance, today you're in this presentation, right? With this presentation today, you might be able to take a small little video of, oh, in this wonderful presentation with CPOMA, is it? The acronym, it's, how do you say it?
Sapamo.
Supamo. I was like, I knew it. I was like, so Supamo is hosting this wonderful event. Tag yourself, give yourself a hashtag, use Supamo, and also put them in the caption, right? So that's a way in which you could then piggyback off of attending Supamo. That's also a way in which then you can make a story about it. So take that same actual post and video, post it to your TikTok, or post it to your Reels, or post it to your Facebook. Allowing you to do that and putting yourself as a hashtag in the caption, in the commentary, tagging Sapamo, tagging your brands, if you have your brands, that's a way in which to then drive awareness, drive content, and of course, create momentum to your page with the event that you attended. So again, remember collaboration. Another tool that I would say that I would recommend for you guys is creating a plan for your marketing. What do I feel comfortable doing? I like lives. I don't like lives. I like talking. I like telling people stories. I like showing artistry. I like Canva. I like stitching or remixing content. if you identify what your overall likeness is, then create a tone. What kind of tone would I like to use? I would like to tell a creative story. I would like to tell a captivating story. I would like to tell a sad story. Trust me, emotions, you can play on people's emotions with the type of tone that you want. Then identify what exactly you want to do and how often you want to do it. Do I want to do a post? Do I want to do a live? Do I want to do a story? Do I want to do a voiceover? And once you set a schedule, then you can start to plan out, okay, you don't have to do it every day. You could schedule it out that Sunday of every week, I'm going to make my post for the week and they'll automate and post. So when you're creating a content plan, a strategy for yourself, you can specify what are you trying to promote? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to raise brand awareness? Are you trying to raise followers? Are you trying to have more engagement on your content? Also, what can I do to encourage content engagement? So what kind of question can I put in my captions? And so creating a content plan will also help you. The third thing I'm going to say is look to see who you can collaborate with. Maybe there's an artist you know, and you guys can have a talking series. Or maybe there's an artist that you know who's posting, and you can remix their content as soon as they post, or they can remix your content. Find a way in which you can work with other people in your networks that would like to boost followership, awareness, or engagement, and see how you guys can come up with a plan together. I know you said 5 things, and I feel like those 3 things are already overwhelming a bit. The other 4th thing is simple. Engage with the content that you already follow that matters to you and also can collaborate. Because content holders, for instance, if you came to Sapamo's post and said, really great workshop today, this is really awesome, I loved it, this was my takeaway, and you tag hashtag in that comment, right? Then Sapamo can comment on that and you can repost it to your story. So engage with the people that you follow, the artistry that the artists that you follow that you really like, because then they can see and they can respond back to you. So when you are encouraging engagement, you want to engage with the people, but you can also start engagement with other followers, with other influencers, and then you can actually have them engaging with you. So that's something simple you can do is engage with the comments that you have, engage with comments on the post of the actual artists that you know, follow, and support, or the organizations that you know. And you can even, like in instance of Rachelle, she could actually comment on one of her other posts if she's not like laced throughout it, right? You know, another post of another organization, right? So you guys can use another profile to engage and start content engagement on your posts. The last thing that I would say, besides from evaluating your digital footprint, is actually taking consideration of how am I getting people to come to my platform. And when I say my platform is what place do you have that is not social media that allows people to leave the platforms and come to you so you can have access to them directly? Because when people engage with you, they are giving you permission to engage back with them. So when you take them off the platform and they either go to your website, they subscribe to your email list, they send you an email, they send you a text message. Those things actually allow you to build your actual list. And list building is really enhanced because you're taking people off of social media and bringing them to your house and saying, hey, let's have tea together. So I would really encourage having a platform that allows people to really connect with you off platform, off social media platform. So those are 5 things. I know it could be a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much, Alleah, for a very informative and lots of information, actually. Yes, Victoria, on emergent social media strategies. Again, on things that we know, on things that we don't know, on things that I think some of us shy away from. like the art actually is a story, and that we are the artists are actually stories, and our arts organizations have a story. And so that those things are able to be, you know, with vulnerability, be placed in a social media space to garner interest in the work that we do as artists and arts organizations. I want to say thank you again